Nation legal contributor and Law and Crime Network host Jesse Weber. And Bill Brennan is a criminal defense attorney who represented Trump during his second impeachment trial. Bill, I got to start with you. Are you surprised today that Judge Merchan punted, but only for a week?
No, I'm not, Elizabeth, because this is really uncharted water. I believe that the DA Bragg's office even agreed that we're in an unprecedented scenario here. So the judge has the option of vacating the verdict based on, among other things, the July 1st Supreme Court decision that gave presidential immunity for presidential acts. And you'll recall that there was certain testimony in the trial about things that happened in the White House with Hope Hicks. So, that may be one outcome, or he could not vacate it, but then not impose sentence because of the policy on a president while he's president. So it really is unclear what will happen, but I wasn't shocked that he kicked the can a little bit.
Yeah, Jesse, what happens then a week from today? Does Judge Merchan drop the conviction? Does he uphold it and delay for 4 years sentencing after? I mean, a jury found him guilty. You can't just throw the verdict out, can you?
So there's a few ways this could go. As Bill was saying, I think he has to make a decision on the immunity case. And if he says, look, immunity doesn't apply, we're going to move forward to sentencing, that's one option. If he says immunity applies, then the question becomes, okay, certain evidence shouldn't have been allowed in a trial. If we take that as true, does that mean that the verdict would have been different? Maybe he says it would have been, the conviction's thrown out. If he makes an immunity decision that is not favorable to Donald Trump can appeal that. And he can actually ask the judge to pause sentencing while he appeals it. Maybe an appellate court will say that this case should be thrown out. Now, if he's all that doesn't work and he's ultimately sentenced, I still don't believe, whether or not he was the president, this kind of crime, you wouldn't have to sentence him to prison. And even if he were to, you could pause that pending an appeal of that, even if he wasn't the president of the United States. So I don't see a scenario where Donald Trump is going to be, A, sentenced to prison, let alone go to prison before he becomes
Well, in general, what does somebody convicted of that get?
Well, this is a unique case where you had these lower-level felonies with these lower crimes where it trumped up to a felony. You could theoretically get some time in prison, but not really. You would get probation, you would get maybe community service, and if that is what he imposes, that could be on pause until 4 years later once he gets out of the presidency.
Okay, Bill, you represented Trump. You know him well. What do you think? Would he want his lawyers to try and get this conviction thrown out, to have this felony conviction removed from his record?
Absolutely, Elizabeth. He's a fighter, and so far he's doing pretty well on the scoreboard. The federal cases, they're looking to just give them a quiet and quick demise. And this particular case, as Jesse said, Judge Merchan could easily say, look, the Supreme Court ruling was basically in three parts. If you did it while you're president and it's a presidential act, you're immune. If it's quasi-presidential, it's iffy if it's a presidential act or not. There's a rebuttable presumption of immunity. And if it's a private act, you're not immune. And you could say, look, who's to say what that testimony about Hope Hicks and Donald Trump while he was president did to that jury? It's ink in the milk. I can't figure out if it tainted the verdict. So the safest move is to vacate. But I do agree that they wrap this case together with duct tape and zip ties to make it a felony. I don't think if he's sentenced, and I don't think he will be sentenced, I don't think he gets jail.
Yeah, but he referenced just now all these other cases. Yeah. Are these all dead? I mean, does Jack Smith just pack up his briefcase and go home? Down in Georgia, does Fannie Willis finally give up the ghost on whatever that case is down there? Judge, in Florida has already dismissed that case, even though that's under appeal.
The only way I could see the federal cases maybe surviving is if Jack Smith can make a legal argument that they should be stayed until after Donald Trump leaves. But then the question becomes, once Donald Trump becomes president, he can have Attorney General just easily dismiss the cases. I think what Jack Smith is going to do is, for two reasons, he wants these dismissed, thrown out before Donald Trump takes the White House, because A, I don't think he wants the optics of him being fired, but B, there's a standing DOJ policy that you cannot indict or prosecute a sitting president. There are those who say, well, it doesn't really apply here. Jack Smith should just move forward. If he gets fired, you know what? That's evidence of obstruction. But then you go back into a circular argument. Is that immunity or not?
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.